Hi guys, and welcome to Piano and Keyboard Artist, where we discuss the artists related to pianos, keyboards and synthesizers. And continuing with my Depeche Mode album review series, this is Violator, Part 6. Hello and welcome to the most in-depth Depeche Mode album review series ever conducted by an independent YouTuber. Now, if you've not seen parts 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, in the words of Mrs. Norris, get out of here! Get out of here, make sure you watch those and then come back. Once you've watched parts 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you never miss a video from this channel. World in My Eyes. This is a song unlike any other I'd ever heard before. When I heard it the first time, I was just like, wow, my mind was blown. Just the way it starts. Very sort of minimalist and open, and just everything about it was just, was head and shoulders above anything I'd heard at the time. So in this video, we're going to analyze the song. I'm going to run you through the chords on the piano, and then I'm also going to break down some of the keyboard parts using the Emacs keyboard. Starting off with the structure, the verse is fundamentally just two chords. This really is a song that is not meant to be done sort of on the piano. It is my belief that Martin probably composed this song on a guitar. Now, how do I know that? Well, I don't know that, but you know, me as a songwriter and a producer myself, I just know that when I write and produce songs, and if you're a producer and songwriter as well that can play guitar and piano, you will know that when you compose on a piano and when you compose on a guitar, the songs come across in a different way, a completely different subject. Right, so the initial analysis will be on the piano, so we're not distracted by the synthesized sound. It's just such an unusual transition in the way the notes move. But the fundamental is basically just this. Let me take you on a trip around the world and back, and you won't have to move, you just sit still. Okay, now it's not exactly played like that. I'm sort of piano improvising it here, so to speak. It is really just, let me take you on a trip around the world and back, and you won't have to move, you just sit still. And then we get to this part, which is one of these sort of signature parts. Does sound quite sparse and open and haunting on the piano, but this song is really what I call a technological song. It is really it relies a lot on the technology, and there's nothing wrong with that. Then straight back to, I'll take you to the highest mountain, to the depths of the deepest sea, and you won't need a map, believe me. Now let your mind do the walking, and let my body do the talking. Let me show you the world in my eyes. And then it comes to a very interesting part of the song. This, to me, when I heard it the first time, and it still makes my neck hairs tingle, it's just so, the way it comes into this bridge, it's kind of like a bridge. Who knows if it's a bridge or a chorus? Depeche Mode don't follow those conventional rules. But it's just this. Once again, classic Gorism. Remember, a Gorism is a phrase I've coined. What I mean by that is it's just where in every sequence of Martin Gore melodies or phrases or melodical parts, there's always one note that always hits you, and it's always from the left field. And here's the Gorism here. In fact, the whole phrase is a Gorism. This is a classic Gorism. And what's interesting about this part is when you break World in My Eyes down into its separate parts, as we will when I show you the Emacs parts, you will see how every single individual little motive or riff or part is very, very simplistic. What I love about this track, and indeed most of the songs on Violator, is the fact that you can see through them. And of course, I'm speaking metaphorically. What do I mean by that? Well, it's just that if we look at the previous album, Music for the Masses, it had a very sort of epic wall of sound kind of, a very full, layered, full sound. Violator, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again, Violator doesn't have that sort of epic filmic type sound, but that doesn't make it any less, grand or amazing. It's just that this record is very Kraftwerk influenced. I've heard a lot of people say that, and I do agree with that. It's got that sort of techno-y, minimalistic sort of feel and vibe and structure. What I love about Violator, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, is that every sound you can identify every sound perfectly within its space, within the mix spectrum. Once again, down to the brilliance of Francois Kevorkian. Even though part-wise things are quite simple, if you strip each sound, if you analyze each sound, even though the parts are few and they're simplistic and they're minimalist, I'm telling you that if you strip every sound back and you analyze it under a microscope, you will see there is so much happening with each sound. What's fascinating about this record, I've often spoken about, it's the space between the sounds. It's like when I say you can see through it, what I mean by that is if you look at Music for the Masses, okay, look at is metaphorically speaking, you just see this wall of sound and it's like, oh, it's coming at you. But with this, when you get it kind of, you see it and then it disappears and you can see behind it. It like appears and then disappears. And this is so typical of this album where things just sort of come in and then they drop out. And then you go, oh, I can see behind it. And I can, actually hear behind it. That's what I mean. But the minimalistic approach on this, and please, I have analyzed this album till the cows have come home. Every single person I've spoken to, whether it be a producer, a musician, an artist, will say that Violator is just a masterclass in production. And dare I say, a perfect album. What I love about this part, that's all there is, nothing more than you can touch now, that's all there is. You have this keyboard part, it sounds like quite a tinny or toyish type piano sound, which just goes, it's actually higher, so it's tick, 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 tick. And I just love the fact that it just tick, 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 tick. It just hammers on this D sharp all the way through. Listen. And that gives it that tension. That's a very similar sort of technique which they've used in a lot of songs, but I'm thinking of Fly in the Windscreen, where they use this. It's where you have like a sustaining note sort of playing on, just playing on one note, and then the chords below it change. So once again, it's... So, I don't know, a lot of these things are emotional, so they're very difficult to put into words. music is both mathematical and emotional. Me being self-taught, to me, it's completely emotional. All I'm emphasizing is on that sustained note. Just the fact that it's sustaining. It's like part of your brain locks onto it, and it's aware that that note is just staying on the one note, and it's quite sort of discomforting because everything else is kind of changing, but that one note sort of keeps your attention, even though it's one of the most, I don't want to say insignificant parts, but when that part kicks in, that tick 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 tick, it's a very small, it's not a loud in your face part, it's a very subtle part. But the fact that it is so subtle and just tick 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 on the same note just makes it stand out. I can go a lot deeper, but let's just stop right there. It then goes on to the "Let me put you on a ship on a long, long trip, your lips close to my lips." Structure-wise, it's very, very simple. Once again, it's just da 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 da. And in fact, if you were going to play this on the piano, you would probably throw in a sort of a passing chord just to make it more interesting. Probably something like this. Let me take you on a trip around the world and back, and you won't have to move, you just sit still. Now let your mind do the walking, and let my body do the talking. Let me show you the world in my eyes. So that's just me throwing in, sort of like passing chords, just to sort of make it more interesting, but that's not the way it's done on the record. That is the way I would do it if I played it on the piano. But as I say, I feel this song was written on guitar, just looking at the way the chords move and stuff. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right. Right, let's check out Martin Gore's Soundbank. So if we look at this keyboard here, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. And here's the first sound. Now, that bell type sound, it's kind of pitch bended. That was sampled from a Fleetwood Mac record. I can't remember which one, but it is a Fleetwood Mac record. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that they may have layered it with a guitar. Listen. It's kind of bending. Now, I don't know if they did that or if the Fleetwood Mac, if this is basically the Fleetwood Mac sample in its entirety. So I don't know if they added something to it. Once again, geeks, please help me out here. Right, then if you go like this, there's nothing here, nothing here, nothing here. His next sound is up here. Iconic. As simplistic as that is, that is classy, typical Violator. Violator is made up of these very, almost like blip type sounds, very simplistic type sounds. They kind of go, I'm here, I am here, listen to me. They're just there. They're not grand sort of like, like mad dance music, drum and bass type sounds. They're just, but they are so powerful and iconic within their own right. Then there's nothing here, and he's got up here. So that's all he's got, really. Then up here, he's also got the string part here. Now, I must admit that this is actually the Soundbank from the devotional Soundbank. And then this would be used at the end of the concert, or the end of Will of My Eyes. We'll, of course, cover that when we get to Songs of Faith and Devotion later on. But really, Martin's part in this song, simple. It's just watch him on any of the concerts on YouTube. There's loads of footage. Just watch him. Let me take you on a trip around the world and back. It's just simplistic. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's simplistic, but because it's simplistic, it's easy to get wrong. Dish, 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 dish. Remember, because Violator, it's so sort of sparse and open. And although this is a very simplistic sound, it is a very iconic and a very important sound. So if he was to get it wrong, if he was to go, you'd notice it. So it has to be. Remember, this isn't rock music, this isn't jazz. There is no room for improvisation. It is literally just dish, 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 and it has to always be that. So, straightforward. Let me take you on a trip around the world and back, and you won't have to move, you just sit still. Now let your mind do the walking, I'll let my body do it. Let me show you the world in my eyes. Then, of course, Alan will come on to doing his part. Unfortunately, I do not have the Alan Wilder Soundbanks for this track, but just know that I believe Alan would play the... Obviously just played on the piano there for demonstrational purposes. Wish I had the Alan Wilder Soundbanks for it. Unfortunately, I don't. So, once again, Martin, fundamentally just this. Let me take you on a trip around the world and back, and you won't have to move, you just sit still. And and then, nothing more than you can touch now, that's all there is. And this is simple, it's just 1, 2, da, da. Right, let's look at Fletcher's part. Fletcher! When he's not clapping, he's playing. Fletcher's part on this is simple, obviously, and it's not difficult, but because it's simple, it's difficult. And what I mean by that is it's a little bit like the bass line on Stripped. Remember, Fletch plays that droning pad bass line for Stripped, and it's very much the same for this song. Because it's simple, you've got to concentrate, because if you hit one wrong note, it'll stick out like a sore thumb. So Fletcher's main part is when it comes in at the... That's all there is, nothing more than you can feel now, that's all there is. Simple, you see? It's only a few notes, but because it's simple, you need to pay attention. Because if he was to hit that note instead of this one, it would be... It would stick out. And funny, I've often wondered that why, when they set these keyboards up, well, Alan did it most of the time, why they didn't mute the notes that weren't being used in case you hit a wrong one. Because, anyway, that's just my geeky producer mind that's kicking in now. But for context... this is where we are. That's all there is, nothing more than you can touch now, that's all there is. So, it's just simple. Very powerful sound. When you turn this up loud, I mean, you just have to hit one note and it really shakes. Listen to this. Once again, that's a classic sort of like Martin Gore chord change. Also up here, Fletcher's got some of these sounds here, which he layers towards the end of the song. Alan does play some Marcato strings in this, which I will demonstrate in a moment. So, but Fletch really is just... just that, and then those parts up there. Fletch, that's all there is. Do you suppose Martin was inspired by Fletch when he wrote that part? Fletch, that's your part, and that's all there is. Unfortunately, as I said earlier, I don't have Alan's sounds, but I can tell you that the string sound that they use on World in My Eyes is derived from the Emacs library, and that is the Marcato strings. Now, the Marcato strings have a very iconic sound. In fact, if you listen to those Marcato strings in isolation, I mean, in isolation like that, it's not a great sound by today's standards. You know, the string libraries you can get these days will blow this out of the water. However, there is something about that sound, and call it nostalgia or call me old-fashioned, but there is something about that sound which just makes it fit nicely in a mix. It cuts nicely. It just has a pleasing place within any mix. In fact, you'll recognize the sound. This is not the exact string sound that they used on World in My Eyes, but this is from the Emacs library, so they would have obviously used that sound and tweaked it, you know, to taste. But just listen to the tonality of it. That is so sort of, you know, Pet Shop Boys, Depeche Mode. It's heard in a lot of records, but it is indeed one of these iconic sounds that they use on West End Girls, which is... See, once again, not the exact sample, but it is the... Just listen to the tonality of the sound. So within the context of World in My Eyes, it's, let me take you on a trip around the world and back, and you won't have to move, you just sit still. Hit it, Martin. Now let your mind do the walking, let my body do the talking, let me show you the world in my eyes. Hit it, Martin. And then Alan. And now this is where this Marcato string comes in. It's the... I'll take you to my highest mountain, to the depths of the deeper sea, and you won't need a Mac, believe me. You hear that? Now let your mind do the body, do the moving, let my hands do the soothing, let me show you the world in my eyes. So that's really, Alan would be playing the Marcato strings as well as the... And unfortunately, because I don't have his Soundbank, I cannot demonstrate any more than that. When we get to the part, that's all there is, when Fletch does... Alan will be playing that same part in unison using the Marcato strings. Put the two together, so right hand Fletcher's part, left hand Alan's part. And you can see how when you layer that part with that Marcato string, that is the sound of the record. And that's all there is. Structurally, part-wise, so far as shell chords are concerned, very simple, very easy. But this song shines when you take all those simplistic little elements and put them together and slot them into the right place. And man, this song is an absolute masterpiece. One of my subscribers was telling me the other day that he always uses this song to test a new sound system. So if he's got a new sound system in his car or in his house, he will put World in My Eyes in because it's just so perfectly balanced with its bass and the cymbals and everything. Wow, what a track. Right, my friends, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you like the content on this video, please make sure that you do subscribe. Please leave your comments in the description below. Let me know what you thought of this video, what do you think of World in My Eyes, and what would you like to see in future videos coming forward. Once again, thank you so much for your support. I will see you in the next video. Take care. Adios.